A customer sent in a Nintendo Switch OLED that won't charge at all. Time to open it up and find out whether it's a simple fix or another episode of Why Are You Like This? Okay, the switch is open. Let's reconnect to the battery and see if it shows any charging reaction. Maybe it wakes up. Maybe it stays completely silent. We'll know in a second. We can see the voltage and current aren't going up at all. Power delivery isn't even starting. So this board is basically saying, nope, not today. Alright, let's unplug the charger and power and do a quick visual check on the board. Sometimes you get lucky and the problem is sitting right there in plain sight. Let's see if today is one of those days. No obvious damage by eye. Looks like we'll need some help from the tools. This board isn't giving us any freebies today. Alright, let's hook it up to the power supply and check the current draw. If it's alive, we should see something. And if it's not, well, the meter is about to tell us the bad news. Let's do a quick test. Negative lead on the metal shield for ground, and positive lead on the battery connector's positive pin. This gives us a basic idea of how much current the board wants to pull, or in this case, how much it doesn't want to pull. We can see the moment the power supply is connected, the current shoots up, and we haven't even pressed the power button yet. That's never a good sign. I'll lower the voltage a bit to avoid damaging the board. Then test again. After that, I'll use my hand to feel around the board and check which area is heating up. The hotspot usually points directly to the shorted component. To make the testing easier, I'll solder a short extension wire to the battery positive terminal. This gives us a stable point to clip the power supply and perform current injection safely and accurately. This test point is directly connected to the battery's positive rail, so injecting power here allows us to monitor how the main power line behaves under load. Now we'll connect the power supply again and check for any heating on the board. The hotspot will help us locate the component that's shorted. I've likely found the fault point. This chip is heating up under current injection, so it's very likely the one causing the short. We'll inspect this chip more closely. Before removing it, we'll use the multimeter to measure the forward voltage on its pins. This helps confirm whether the chip is shorted or behaving abnormally before we proceed with replacement. capacitors around this chip are reading short to ground. This strongly suggests that the BQ24193 charging IC is failing internally and pulling the whole power rail down. Next, we'll use rosin to confirm the fault. By applying current and observing where the rosin melts first, we can visually identify the exact component that's heating up due to the short. The rosin hasn't reacted yet. Right now we're only letting the smoke spread across the surface, so that once we apply current, any heating point will immediately show a visible change in the rosin. Now we'll connect the power supply again, and observe the rosin carefully. Any abnormal heating will show up immediately, and confirm the exact fault location. It's very clear now. The main heating point is this chip undercurrent injection. It's the only component causing a visible reaction in the rosin, confirming it as the source of the short. Alright, let's get started. We'll remove the faulty charging IC and prepare the area for replacement. This will clear the short on the main power rail and restore proper operation. Before installing the new chip, we'll measure the surrounding capacitors again. This confirms that with the faulty IC removed, the power rail is no longer shorted to ground. Everything looks normal now, with no short detected on the surrounding capacitors. We can proceed to install the new charging chip and restore the power rail to proper operation. With the new chip installed, we'll measure the surrounding capacitors once more. This final check ensures that the power rail is clean and that no short circuit remains after the replacement. The contact resistance on these two capacitors is only 0.033, and without the schematic, it's hard to be fully certain. But after comparing with the donor board, the value appears slightly lower, yet still within a reasonable range. So we can treat it as normal for this circuit. Now we'll connect the power supply and check the current draw. This will tell us immediately whether the charging circuit is behaving normally. When power is applied, the current draw stays around 2 mA. This level is well within the normal range for standby after installation, indicating that the charging IC and its surrounding circuitry are no longer presenting any short circuit behavior. We'll connect the power button flex cable to check for a proper boot current. If the power rail responds with a normal startup draw, we can proceed to full assembly and final functional testing. When the power button is pressed, the current rises to around 150 to 200 milliamperes. This indicates a normal boot up draw. Since the battery daughter board isn't connected, the main board cannot detect a battery and therefore won't enter the system, which is expected behavior at this stage. Battery is connected now. We'll plug in the charger to see if the charging current behaves normally and confirm the circuit is working correctly. No current after connecting the battery and plugging in the charger. The board isn't entering the charging state at all, so something in the charging path is still not responding. Alright, that's it for today. We'll continue opening it up and troubleshooting in the next video. Thanks for watching. See you next time. That's all for today's video. Hope you found it helpful. Every small detail makes a big difference in repair work. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more tech repair tutorials.